Hi babes, welcome back to my channel. Did you miss me? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've not posted in a few days. I've been a bit sick, but I'm feeling better now. Anyway, how are you doing? I hope you are doing good. I'm back with a new story. And if you are new to my channel, I'm Vera, but you can call me V. And I share amazing stories. And so if this is something you love, please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Today's shout out goes to Adodakwa 780, Daki Kujo, and Mrs. Aguda 3887. They were the first people to comment on my last video. Thank you so much for the support, babes. I love you. And I'ma be Dada. Relax, get comfortable, and let's get right into it. When I first opened my food store, it was just a wooden kiosk, barely holding together. It was on the streets of Labadi. I had saved for 2 long years to build it. I had a dream. You see, I didn't come from much. My father had a stroke when I was just 13. 1 minute it was strong, and the next it was lying on a mattress, unable to talk, only blinking when you called his name. My mother tried her best, selling vegetables on the table in front of our family house. Some days, she came home with barely enough money to buy gari and pepper. I was the third of 6 kids. My 2 older sisters both had babies before they turned 20. My eldest sister had 3 kids by the time she was 24, and the one after her had 2. No marriages, no jobs, just loud babies and useless boyfriends who borrowed money they never paid back. Those girls were always fighting, always broke, and always begging. And guess who they always ran to for help? Me. I made a promise to myself. I will not end up like them. But school didn't work out for me. I wasn't smart in books. I failed my WASI and didn't bother to rewrite. I knew what I was good at, cooking. When I cooked, people smiled. They closed their eyes and licked their fingers. So I worked hard. I said no to parties, no to new clothes, no to flashy phones. I said no to love too. I couldn't afford distractions. All I wanted was to open my own food joint. Nothing fancy, just mine. And finally, I did it. The day I opened that store, I stood under the hot sun with sweat dripping down my back. But my heart was full. I had no umbrella for shade, no help, no fridge, no chairs. Just a charcoal stove, 2 silver pans, 1 cooler, and a dream. When I first opened my store, people laughed. Some said it to my face. Others whispered behind my back. Street food, that won't take her anywhere. Soon she'll get tired and quit. It is just a phase. They didn't understand. To them, it was just another girl frying fish in the hot sun. But to me, it was my only way out. It was either this or go back to a house full of noise, hunger, and regrets. The first few weeks were hard. Some days I sold only 2 plates. Other days, nothing. I would pack the food, carry it home, and share it with my siblings and their children. But I didn't stop. Slowly, something changed. That one customer came back and brought another. A man told his girlfriend. A woman told her co-workers. Soon, I started seeing familiar faces every day. People lined up under the sun for my food. Some came during lunch breaks. Others sent their drivers. That was when I knew I was doing something right. I started saving again. I was tired of walking long distances from the family house, so I used part of my profits to rent a small 1-bedroom apartment near my kiosk. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No crying babies, no insults, no one banging my door to borrow money. For the first time in my life, I could breathe. But as my customers grew, so did the pressure. Cooking, washing, serving, doing everything alone was killing me. Some days, I would stand from morning till evening without sitting down. My hands were always bent. My back always sore. I needed help. The first people I thought of were my sisters. But the moment I asked for help, war started. One came late and left early. The other was on their phone the whole time. When I tried to correct them, they rolled their eyes and walked off. They told me, "You think you are better than us because you sell food?" I was shocked. I thought I was helping them, but they made it clear they didn't respect me or my business. One even told me, all this cooking won't take you anywhere. You better find a man and settle down. Hey, that day, I went home and cried. Not because they hate me, but because I finally accepted it. Family doesn't always mean support. An older woman who sold provisions near my kiosk had been watching all this quietly. She came to me one evening, sat me down, and said something I'll never forget. My daughter, don't mix family with business. It never works. Hire someone you don't know, someone you can control, someone who understands the job is the job, and feelings don't enter it. At first, I didn't want to believe her, but after what my sisters did, I had no choice. I told myself, no more sentiments. If I want to grow, I must think like a boss. That was the moment everything changed. And that is how Sherifa came into my life. But I had no idea she would be the beginning of both my biggest blessing and my deepest heartbreak. After I decided to take the older woman's advice, I started asking around for help. Someone I could trust, but also control. Not long after, a friend of mine came to me with a name, Sherifa. She's from the north, my friend said. She just moved into an uncompleted house behind our area. She's looking for work, anything at all. She's respectful, quiet, and hardworking. I was tired. My back hurt every day from cooking, washing, and serving customers alone. So I said, why not? The next day, Sherifa came to see me. She looked young, maybe a few years younger than me. Her clothes were simple but neat. She carried herself well and spoke English better than I expected. Auntie, please, she said, I am ready to work. I will do anything. I can cook, clean, serve, even wash. I told her the job would be full time. She would need to move in with me so we could go to the store together every morning. I explained the pay. It wasn't much, but it was all I could afford. To my surprise, her eyes lit up. Thank you so much, she said, almost tearing up. She moved in the very next day. At first, Sherifa was perfect. She woke up early before me, swept the room, helped carry things to the store, washed dishes without complaining. She followed instructions and treated me with deep respect. I started relaxing around her, even trusted her with the money I made every day. I left her alone at the store sometimes when I had to run errands. My body was finally getting rest, and my mind could focus on bigger plans. Then one afternoon, everything changed. We were at the store, busy as usual. Sherifa was plating rice for a customer when I noticed a woman approaching us. She was carrying a little girl, maybe around 2 years old, who was crying loudly. The woman looked furious. She was shouting in a language I didn't understand, her voice sharp and angry. Before I could even say a word, she pushed the crying child towards Sherifa and tried to walk away. Sherifa froze. Her whole body stiffened. The little girl was crying so hard she couldn't breathe properly. She clung to Sherifa's legs, screaming and sobbing. But Sherifa was pushing her back, trying to make the girl let go. The woman kept shouting, and I finally stepped in. What is going on? I asked, confused. The woman looked at me and struggled to speak English. She pointed to the child and said, Pikin. She ran, leave weak, no calm, no food, no milk. I blinked. I looked at Sherifa. You have a child? I asked, shocked. Sherifa's face turned pale. She started crying too. She bent down, picked the girl up, and started begging me. I'm sorry, she whispered. Please, I didn't tell you because I knew you wouldn't hire me. I was scared. I needed a job. The little girl, still crying, rested her head on Sherifa's chest. But Sherifa didn't even hold her properly. She just shouted at her in her language, telling her to be quiet. I was stunned. She had eaten the whole child from me, but not just that, abandoned her. I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, watching this mother-daughter drama in front of my store, while customers looked on with wide eyes. Sherifa kept crying and begging me. She is quiet, I swear. She won't disturb me at work. Just give me another chance. Please. I should have said no, but something in me, maybe pity, made me say yes. One chance, I warned her. If she ever becomes a problem, both of you will leave. She nodded fast, still crying. Thank you. I swear you won't regret it. I looked at the little girl. Her name was Aisha. I let them stay. Even though I knew deep down I shouldn't have, even though my heart said, this girl is hiding something more. But Sherifa cried like her life depended on it. And when I looked at Aisha, so small, so thin, so tired, I just couldn't say no. At first, it looked like she meant it. Sherifa woke up early, bathed Aisha, fed her, then came to the store with me. Aisha would sit in the corner quietly, playing with an old spoon or plastic bowl. She never made noise, never cried too long. Customers barely noticed she was there. But as the weeks passed, I started noticing things, small things, things I tried to ignore at first. Some mornings, Aisha looked like she hadn't bathed. Her hair was always dry, her lips cracked, her clothes had stains that had been there for days. She would come to me, quietly pointing to the pot of stew or the bowl of rice, her eyes full of anger. Every time I asked Sherifa, she waved it off. She already ate, she would say. She just loves food, don't mind her. But Aisha was getting thinner. Her eyes looked hollow, like someone who hadn't slept properly in weeks. Sometimes I saw her sitting by the wall, just staring at nothing. One afternoon, I came back from the market and saw Aisha trying to climb a bench near the food table. She fell and hit her elbow. Instead of running to help her, Sherifa shouted at her in a language harsh and cold. Aisha didn't cry. She just looked at her mother, got up slowly, and walked away. That moment stayed in my mind, but I didn't say anything. I told myself it wasn't my business. That is her child. Maybe that is how she disciplines her. But the truth is, I was scared of getting involved. I didn't want to create tension at work. Business was going well. I needed the help. I needed peace. Then the rumors started. At first, they came quietly from one of the girls who sold oranges across the street. Auntie, she said one evening, be careful. I hear your girl. She dey follow some of your male customers. I laughed it off. Which customers? The tired ones who buy rice and beans for 10 cedis. What do they have? But more people came with the same whispers. They said she stayed out late, that men came to see her near the kiosk. One even said they saw her entering a man's room after work. Still, I told myself, it is just gossip. What she does outside the store isn't my concern. But deep inside, I started watching her differently. She was changing. Her dressing got tighter. Her smile with certain male customers lasted too long. She started applying lipstick before work and even asked to leave early some evenings. The final blow came one Saturday. I had traveled for a family funeral, a wakekeeping actually. But I started feeling sick in the middle of the night. My whole body was aching, so I returned home quietly to rest. When I reached the compound, I saw Aisha sleeping outside on the veranda. She had no blankets, no mat, nothing. She was curled into a ball, her feet dusty, mosquitoes feasting on her legs. I felt something in my chest break. I pushed open the door to my room, walked in, and froze. Sherifa was in my bed, naked, with a married man who lived in our compound. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just stood there looking at her until the man jumped up, grabbed his trousers, and ran out like a thief. Sherifa tried to cover herself. I'm sorry, please, auntie. Please, let me explain. But I had had enough. That night, I knew something had to change. She opened her mouth to talk again, but I raised my hand. Not one word. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I packed Sherifa's things. I didn't argue, I didn't shout. I simply said, you are going today. She cried and she begged. She held my legs, but I had had enough. I watched her walk away with her head hanging low, but she wasn't gone for long. Later that evening, she came back, this time with the same friend who had introduced her to me in the first place, the one I trusted, the one who told me Sherifa was decent and respectful. They both knelt in front of me. Please forgive her, my friend said softly. Everyone makes mistakes. She said it won't happen again, she added. She's really sorry. I looked at Sherifa. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked tired and broken. She said nothing, just kept crying and nodding. I don't know what came over me. Maybe I was too soft. Maybe I was too tired to argue. Or maybe I just wanted peace. So, like a fool, I gave her another chance. Your last chance, I said firmly. If anything happens again, you leave and never come back. She thanked me like her life had been saved. And for a moment, I believed I had done the right thing. But I didn't know then that this second chance, the one I gave her out of mercy, would be the biggest mistake of my life. Because Sherifa was about to ruin me completely. Exactly 1 month after I forgave her, Sherifa robbed me blind. I had been saving little by little in a susu box. I kept it hidden under the fridge in my room. It was meant to grow my business, to buy a bigger stove, more tables, even hire an extra hand. It was everything I had, and Sherifa took it. I remember that day so clearly. It started like any normal morning. We had worked at the store and returned home. I was tired, so I lay down to rest. Then I saw her coming out of my room with my laundry basket in her hands. Where are you going with that? I asked, yawning. She smiled quickly. I'm going to wash. I added your clothes too. She looked nervous. Her eyes didn't meet mine. Her voice was shaky. But I was too tired to think. I waved her off and dozed off again. About 30 minutes later, I woke up feeling thirsty. I went to get some water and noticed something strange. The towel I always kept tucked under the fridge had been moved. My heart started pounding. I dropped the cup and bent down quickly to check. My susu box was gone. Panic rushed through my chest like fire. I ran outside, calling her name, no answer. I looked around the compound and saw my clothes, dumped carelessly in the corner, but no sign of Sherifa. I rushed back into the house, checked the small bag. It was gone. Gone. She had taken everything and left her own daughter behind. I stood in the center of my room, frozen, shocked. All my savings, all my hard work vanished in one day. And sitting quietly in the living room, as if nothing had happened, was Aisha. She was playing with a plastic spoon, dragging it across the floor. She looked up at me and smiled. That smile broke me. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I held them back. I ran to my friend, the one who introduced her to me. We went to the compound where Sherifa used to stay before moving in with me. The girls there said the same thing. She just came to the city. We don't know her family. She's gone. Just like that, gone. I said, I asked, I begged around, but no one knew where she had run to. She didn't even look back. She didn't even try to take her child. And now I was left with nothing. No money, no help, no explanation. Just a little girl with sad eyes sitting on my floor. And deep inside me, something started to die. Ow. For a few weeks after Sherifa ran away, I kept Aisha with me. I didn't know what else to do. I kept hoping maybe Sherifa would return. Maybe she would feel guilty. Maybe she would at least come back for her daughter. But she didn't. Not a single call. Not a single message. Nothing. Every day that passed, I got angrier. Not just at Sherifa, but at the situation. I had lost everything. My money, my dream. And every time I looked at Aisha, it was like seeing the face of her mother. She followed me everywhere. She wanted to sit near me, sleep beside me, hold my hand when we walked. But I couldn't take it anymore. I was bitter. I was broke. And I had nothing left to give. I started snapping at her, yelling over small things. Sometimes she would come to me with a bowl and ask for food. I would scream, "Didn't I just feed you?" Even when I hadn't. She would cry quietly and go and sit in a corner, and that made me feel worse. Then my sisters heard what happened. They came to the store just to laugh at me. "So now your outsider disappeared with your money. Next time, use your own blood instead of strangers. This is what you get for feeling too big." I didn't even reply. Their words cut deeper than they knew. That evening, I sat on my bed, staring at Aisha. She was humming slowly to herself, using her fingers to draw in the dust on the floor. She looked up and smiled at me. I looked away. The next morning, I made my decision. I took her to an orphanage nearby. The building looked old from the outside, but it was what was inside that haunted me. The children, they looked like ghosts, thin, pale, lifeless. They moved like zombies, quiet, slow, and scared. The director backed others at them like they were prisoners. One child dropped a spoon, and the director raised their voice so loud, the child started crying before anyone even touched him. I felt something heavy in my chest. Still, I told myself, this is not my problem. Aisha is not mine. As we walked in, Aisha clung tightly to my dress. A small hand wouldn't let go. When the director came to take her, she started crying, loud, heartbreaking cries. I want to go with you, she said through tears. I want to go home. She held my dress so tightly, the fabric nearly tore. But I pulled her hand away, pushed her gently toward the director. I'm sorry, I said without looking back. I can't take care of you. And I walked away. I didn't turn around, not even when I heard her scream my name, not even when her little footsteps tried to follow me. I left her there, alone. After I dropped Aisha at the orphanage, I tried to move on. I told myself it was the right thing, that I had done all I could, that she wasn't my child, that she wasn't my responsibility. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, tears running down her cheeks, her little hands clinging to my dress. Days passed. I went to the store, cooked food, smiled at customers, but inside I was restless, empty. I kept thinking about her. Was she eating? Was she safe? I told my friend what I was feeling. She laughed. Ah, forget that girl. Do you want to carry someone else's burden forever? Focus on your life. But I couldn't forget. Something inside me, something I didn't understand, just couldn't let her go. A week later, I went back. I walked into the orphanage with my heart racing, not sure what I would find. And there she was, Aisha, sitting on the cold floor, crying. Her eyes were puffy, her clothes were dirty. Ow. She was holding a piece of old bread covered in flies. She wasn't playing. She looked like she had given up on life. When she saw me, she froze. Then suddenly, she jumped to her feet, screaming and running straight into my arms. I dropped to my knees and held her. She buried her face in my chest and cried louder. Right there, I broke too. I didn't care who was watching. I didn't care what anyone thought. I picked her up and walked out of that place. No questions, no papers, no second thoughts. This time, I didn't leave her behind. We went back home together, just the two of us. I told myself I would take care of her just for a while, until I found her extended family or someone else to take her in. But day by day, little by little, she became mine. She followed me to the store. She sat with me while I cooked. She started smiling and laughing again. Raising Aisha wasn't easy, but it was one of the best things I have ever done. After I brought her back from the orphanage, I promised myself that I would care for her like my own, at least until I found a real family. But we never found him. And somehow that became okay. I enrolled her in school as soon as she turned 3. She was so excited to wear a uniform. She was smart, so smart. She picked up things quickly, always first to finish her classwork. Her teachers were always praising her. At home, she gave me no stress, no crying, no stubbornness. She would sit quietly beside me at the food stall, playing with her school books or humming songs. She never asked for much. When she turned 4, she started calling me mommy. I tried to correct her. I said, no, I'm not your real mother. But she would just smile and repeat it. How do you argue with that? After a while, I stopped trying. She called me mommy, and honestly, it started to feel right. When she turned 5, she became my little sunshine, always full of energy, telling silly jokes that made me laugh, even after long hard days, dancing when I was sad. Aisha brought life into my world. She helped me with chores, watched over the food store when I had to run errands, and stayed by my side no matter what. Then I met my husband. He wasn't rich, just an Uber driver working with someone else's car, but he had a kind heart. When I got pregnant and had my 2 boys, Aisha was right there, helping with diapers, carrying the babies, singing lullabies to her baby brothers when they cried. She was still young, but acted so grown up. And the love she gave me, it was pure, real, and constant. She grew into a beautiful young woman, graceful, calm, and respectful. She didn't talk back. She didn't chase the streets like other girls. She studied. She helped at home. She stayed close. We never found Sherifa, but by then, I didn't care anymore. We didn't need her because Aisha had me and I had Aisha, and that was more than enough. If someone had told me years ago that the crying little girl I almost left behind would one day become the light of my life, I wouldn't have believed it. But today, Aisha is in level 300, studying medicine at one of the best universities in the country. And she didn't get there through connections or money. She got there through hard work, brains, and hearts. She's on scholarship, fully paid. And every weekend, like clockwork, she comes home. She puts on her apron and helps me at the store, still stirring stew, still serving customers, still making sure I eat. Even though she's chasing her own big dream, she has never forgotten mine. She works a small part-time job in school, and every month she sends me 500 cedis out of her own salary, half her pay. Every time I beg her to stop, every time she laughs and says, Mommy, how can I enjoy while you still struggle? She's only in her early 20s, but sometimes I look at her and wonder what kind of soul lives in that small body. She's kind, she's thoughtful, she's strong, she's mine. She's the daughter I didn't give birth to, but the one God placed in my arms when I least expected it. She calls me mommy with so much love in her voice. It fills the holes in my heart I didn't even know were still there. But she hasn't forgotten my dream. She always says, Mommy, when I become a doctor, the first thing I will do is build your restaurant. I believe her, not because of what she says, but because of who she is. Aisha is proof that sometimes the greatest blessings come wrapped in pain. That what looks like a burden may actually be your biggest miracle. Sometimes I think about Sherifa, a real mother. I wonder if she's out there. I wonder if she ever thinks about the child she threw away, the daughter she abandoned like trash. If only she could see who Aisha has become. If only she knew what she lost. But that is not my concern anymore. Because Aisha is mine now, not by blood, not by paper, but by love. She's the best decision I ever made, and I will thank God for her every single day until my last breath. Oh, the story. Oh, babe, you found a good thing, and I'm so happy for both of you. Sometimes the greatest blessings comes wrapped in pain. And I be Dada. This is a judgment-free zone. We listen, we don't judge. So please be kind to her in the comment section. And don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Let me hear your thoughts about this story. If you've not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for, babe? Subscribe, come and join the family. Subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.